This week, I'm going to demonstrate just how easy it is to make some simple drawers using plywood. Welcome back, everybody. Jason with Bent's Woodworking. If you're new to my channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. I like to do weekly videos on tips and tricks, along with some product reviews, all in an effort to make you a better woodworker. And also, if you're not following me on Instagram, go over there and check me out at Bent's Woodworking. You'll get to see what I'm doing on a daily basis, and always feel free to go ahead and send me any kind of DMs on questions that you might have. But today I wanted to go ahead and discuss building simple drawers, whether you're making cabinets or you're making shop furniture, whatever it is. Drawers are very simple, and today I'm hoping I can show you just how simple they are. It almost seems like there's endless possibilities in terms of joinery for drawers. Today we're not going to talk about anything too in-depth. We're not going to do dovetails. We're not doing any kind of difficult joint to make the drawers. I want to show you a very simple way to make the drawers. And the material that we're going to use today, as you can see here, is 3/4 inch plywood. Now, I've already prepared my materials for this project, but we're just going to talk through the different techniques that you can use. When I refer to some of the easier techniques to make the drawers, the things that I'm referring to there, for example, would be dowels using rabbets, biscuits, Craig screws or pocket holes, or even dominoes. And those are the types of techniques that we're going to talk about today. The materials that I'm going to be using today are 3/4 inch birch plywood. This is just some scraps that I had laying around. I've got 1/4 inch MDF, which will be the plate, or excuse me, the panel on the bottom side of the drawer. My joinery technique that I'm going to use for this is going to be the Festool Domino, along with the 5mm dominoes. Now, like I said earlier, that is one of the many techniques that you can do. I'm going to show you this technique, but you can use it with multiple techniques. So anything that I'm doing a domino for, you essentially could use a biscuit for. Or the way that I'm constructing the drawer, you can also use pocket holes. You could just glue it. You could use dowels. The method I'm choosing for the video is going to be the domino. So keep that in mind as I'm going through and talking about this. So when I get my drawer ready, I have obviously 4 sides to a drawer. And the first thing I want to obviously figure out is how tall I want my drawer to be and how long I want my drawer to be. In this case, also, excuse me, how wide the drawer has to be. In this case, for the demonstration, my drawer is going to be 12 inches wide, 16 inches deep, and 4 inches tall. And I've already cut the pieces to the length that they need to be, just to kind of save some time in terms of the video. The good thing about using this technique is whatever depth I want my drawer to be, so in this case 16 inches, I know that my side pieces are going to be 4 inches tall by 16 inches in length, because this will be on the outside of the front and back of the drawer. Front and back being the pieces that are inset here and here. So now we know this piece right here is 16 inches. Now I need to know how long this piece and this piece have to be in order to make it 12 inches. The first thing that I do is I measure how wide my 2 pieces of 3/4 inch plywood. And again, I'm sure you figured it out by now, but 3/4 inch plywood is not exactly 3/4 of an inch. So it's important for you to use whichever material you're using consistently, because these 2 pieces here equal 1 3/8. So it's 1/8 of an inch short of 1 1/2, which you would think 2 pieces of 3/4 inch plywood would be. So because I did that, now I know it's not as simple as me just saying 12 inches wide minus 1 1/2 inches, 10 1/2 is how long the piece needs to be. That's not true. This actually had to be 10 5/8. 10 5/8 plus the measurement of each one of the boards on the side equals 12 inches. That's extremely important to know as well, because when it comes to actually putting drawers in using drawer slides, your measurements have to be pretty much dead on. So again, measure twice, cut once, the old saying. Make sure that you're doing that so you know exactly how long this needs to be, because it will be very important when you start using your drawer slides. Now you might be wondering, well, wouldn't it be easier just to put this board here in the front and put these behind it and just cut my front and rear board to 12 inches? Sure, that would be easier. However, something I want you to think about. If we take a look at this drawer and I put that piece on the very front, regardless of the joinery technique that I'm going to use out of the easier, more simple ways that I had discussed in the video, this is constantly going to get pulled in and out. So when it's constantly getting pulled in and out, it's constantly putting that stress and pulling it away. So over time, the joint will become weaker and weaker and weaker. So the way we remedy that is by making these two side pieces attached to this piece using a joinery method all throughout here, which is going to strengthen that joint. And as while I pull on it, it's pulling the entire unit instead of over time just putting too much stress on a faceplate, essentially. So that is why we have the two side pieces that is one of the reasons why we have the two side pieces that join into the front and back. Another advantage to that is when you have the side piece and there's no joinery on the outsides, it just looks very clean when you open and close the drawer because there's nothing that it is attaching to, essentially, or no seams or no lines. The next step that I'm gonna take is I wanna start figuring out where I'm gonna put my dominoes, or if you're using biscuits or dowels, whatever it is. I like to go ahead and lay them out because I wanna get a good idea of just how many I can fit. And in this case, I'm only gonna put 3. And something I want you to pay attention to is down here at the bottom where we are gonna cut the groove to accept the panel, we wanna make sure that we don't cover that up with anything. For this drawer, as tall as it is, being 4 inches, I'm gonna be using the 5-inch domino, so I'm gonna fit 3 on each side. So the next step is I'm gonna just make all my marks on all the pieces and go ahead and cut the dominoes. Now that I've got all my lines marked, I can go ahead and start using my domino. Once I come over to the table saw, what I want to make sure is that my blade is 1/4 of an inch because that's how big or how deep I want the groove to be for the panel. And then I want that groove, the bottom of that groove to start, in this case, 1/4 inch from the bottom of the drawer. So what I will do is I will set my fence at 1/4 of an inch. Once I make my first cut, I'll then move it over 1/8 of an inch or just short of 1/8 of an inch, cut my second cut, and then I'll go do a test fit to make sure the MDF fits snug. If I need to move it over a little bit, I'll just move it over a little bit. But I like to kind of walk my way up into the MDF. I just finished cutting all the grooves. I haven't actually assembled anything yet, but what I want to do next is figure out the size that I need for my panel. And this panel obviously is slightly oversized, but the way that I'm going to get that measurement is I'm going to make my measurement on the inside of the drawer, which in this case is 10 1/2. So I want to add 1/2 inch to that because it's going to go 1/2 inch into this board, and it's gonna go 1/2 inch into this board. So my total length across for the panel needs to be 11. And then here it's 14.5. So I know I need my panel to be 15 inches this way by 11 inches this way. So now I'll go make the cut. So I got my panel cut to the proper size. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and do a test fit. I was able to get a nice snug fit by inching my way up into it. I have not put my dominoes in yet. Right now I'm just trying to make sure that everything fits. And the panel fits just fine. Now the next thing I'll do is I'll go ahead and take everything apart, put my dominoes in each one of the pieces, and assemble it. For this video, I will not glue it because this is not going to be a permanent drawer. It is just for the sake of the video, but it will still achieve the same results because the dominoes will allow it to line up perfectly. One of the downsides to using dominoes as opposed to biscuits or say Craig screws or really just gluing it is it ends up, you know, costing you a little bit more money in the end because each one of the dominoes is significantly more expensive than say a biscuit. Now Craig screws, that's another story because Craig screws are already somewhat expensive. But for me, this is just my preferred technique. And I've had really good results with it and extremely strong drawers, and it's probably something that I stick with about 90% of the projects that I build that has drawers. All right, so now that I got my dominoes in, I'll go ahead and start assembling. There you have it. There's a completed drawer, everything lined up nice and smooth, no gaps. Now keep in mind that if you're doing this for a regular drawer and you decided to put glue in all the different joints, once you clamp it together it's going to make those seams almost disappear, which they're already almost invisible now. However, once I added glue and put some clamps on it, close everything up and it'd be nice and good. But everything is nice and flush. And I have a drawer. So again, that's just one technique that you can make a drawer a very simple way using inexpensive materials such as plywood, and with the advantage of using the edge banding and you wouldn't even know that it is plywood in most cases. So that's how easy it is to make a simple drawer out of some very inexpensive materials such as plywood. And then with the nice addition of the edge banding, it really gives it a very nice look and it creates a very, very strong box drawer that will last you a very, very long time. Again, Domino is not the only way that you can do it. It's just the way that I showed in this video, but you can do the exact same steps using biscuit joiner or Craig screws and using your Craig screws on the outside. Now keep in mind that, so even if this is the front of the drawer, even if you had your pocket holes right here, you're gonna put a false front on it, and that false front will sit over the top and it will completely cover everything. And then the other advantage to the side is, look, I have no seams at all. It's just one nice flat piece of wood. And then on the top, because of the edge banding, I have absolutely no ply lines or anything, a very smooth finish. And if you're curious on how to apply edge banding you've never done it before, I'll go ahead and leave a link at the end of the video to a video that I recently did on the techniques that I like to follow when I apply edge banding. Well, for this week, that's all I got. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button so you can get updates on weekly videos. And if you're not following me on Instagram, go check me out there at Bent's Woodworking, and you'll get to follow me on a daily basis, see what I'm doing. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to send me a DM or leave your comments in the comments section down below. If you like the video, hit the like button. And if you think you have somebody that might like it, go ahead and do me a favor and share that video to allow them to see it as well. As always, everyone, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you.